Yeah, this is what generally the business analyst is all about. So as a part of business analyst, this is how generally a business analyst works in any of the organization. So if you are a BA, the major responsibility of a BA to understand the requirements and providing solutions. In this context, business analyst will be interacting with the stakeholders in the first stage, where they will be identifying the requirements from the stakeholders. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. Right, so business analyst will be interacting with the stakeholders first. So once business analyst has interacted with the stakeholders, they get the requirements from the stakeholders. From there, whatever the information as well as the kind of business problem they have identified, which they will be interacting with the technical team, come up with the solution. Either it could be a business solution will be given by the BA. Followed by this, technical solution will be provided subsequently. So once they got an idea about the technical solutions, all that will be interacting with the architect team. Architect team, nothing but people who are developing an architecture for the project. So once the architecture was developed, again, that will be given back to the technical team. Followed by this, applications will be developed at the same time. That will be delivered back to the stakeholders accordingly. So this is nothing to do with technology and domain. Role of a business analyst, one same for everyone. So this is what the overall view of it. As these class sessions were already recorded, which was there in my repository, whoever wished to receive, please do email your mail ID so that I'll text my email ID in the chat box. Please text your email ID. Please send me a sample email to this email ID so that test mail, so that I'll share the recording access to you so that you can have a glance on it. Right. So I already texted my email ID here. You can see. 1 minute. I'm sending to everyone. Okay, this is my email ID. Please send in hello message so that I'll forward the recordings accordingly. Right. So this is what generally the overall understanding about the BA. Let's get into the topic today, as we are discussing about the activities of a business analyst in the previous session. Because being a business analyst, we will be interacting with the project manager to understand the scope of the project. So that is what we do. So being a business analyst, we will be interacting with the project manager, wherein to identify the scope of the project is what we do here. So in the process of understanding the scope of the project, the very first thing we have discussed about the project deliverables, which is the first step here. So collecting all crucial project information relating to the project is needed. This is what we call it as project deliverables transfer. Apart from project deliverables, we must be knowing about the available resources. What are the available resources do we have? So that information must be known to us well in advance. Available resources may be a technical as well as manpower resources here. Followed by this, inclusions and exclusions. What are to be included, what are to be excluded should also be known to us well in advance. At the same time, project constraints we should also think over. Right? What are the different project constraints do we have, and all everything should also be thinking on it. These are the first step which normally we do when we are collecting crucial project information. In the second step, we need to build out a project schedule as I stated and mentioned earlier, wherein we need to understand about the kind of tasks followed by the kind of milestones we want to achieve. Because every project will have some releases, right? So because we don't deliver the project at a time, we deliver the project based on the phase wise, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. So especially in the form of agile environment, if you see, normally we do in delivery phases, like every 2 months, there will be a release. So that sort of thing normally we do. So being a business analyst team, one should able in a position to understand about the kind of major tasks do we require to deliver, followed by the milestones accordingly. Next thing is that we must be knowing about the phases of the project. This is what we were discussing, about to discuss. So these are the phases of application development. Because this is in context to the people who are coming from non-IT. Because for a business analyst, the advantage is even an IT as well as non-IT people will also come. That's what generally an advantage for a purpose of career transformation. So IT people who comes from the IT sector will have a knowledge over the application development. But especially for the people who are not from the IT will have a confusion over this. Hence, in context to that, I'm explaining about the phases of the project. Because when we are working on application development, irrespective of technology in the domain, the phases of application development is essentially required. So these are the phases. The first one called analysis phase, where here we are trying to understand the problem of a customer. Because unless until if you don't understand the intensity of the problem what customer is facing, developing solutions would be difficult. So analyzing the problem is what generally being a BA one should do. This is what usually we call it as problem analysis. So customers of two different types. Sometimes customer will have an existing application or the process working in their organizations. Due to the business goals, what is that they want to achieve? They want you to upgrade this application to the next level. This is point number one, condition one. Second condition, some customers want you to develop an application right from the scratch or right from the beginning, or they may be required a new application. Sometimes this suggestion will be given by us. I'll give you an example to you. Let's say, for example, there is a retail outlet. Retail outlet, they are using a point of sale system. What is point of sale system? Point of sale system is a billing system which will be used in the retail store for billing purposes. A retail store called X, name called X, is using a point of sale system for a very long time. Assume that they were using for past 10 years or so. As the business have grown in last 10 years, because earlier assume that the business was very limited, the customer base as well as the products they sell in the store. Now their business has increased a lot. Now, whenever their business has increased, what is that they want to do? They want to expand their technical applications accordingly. Why? Because more business requirements and services are enlarged or extended. They want to cater these needs to all the customers. So for that, what is that they have to do? First of all, they should extend their application to the next level, or else they may have a future needs that they want to open multiple stores in different parts of the locations. So they may be required some kind of solution to be provided by someone, a technical solution where they want some application to be upgraded to the next level, right? So because technology has a character that it requires upgradation, because technology itself, I am not naming any one technology, because any technology you see, technology itself requires upgradation. That's what generally the nature of a technology. So whatever the, let's say for example, mobile, right? Communication purpose. We have started using mobiles using a QWERTY keypad. Now we are using Androids, iPhones, all that stuff. The basic structure of mobile remains constant, right? Basic structure as well as basic uses of mobile remains same, that you don't see any changes in it. But what was changed? Basic structure of a mobile remains constant. But end of the day, what was changed is the kind depends on the personal and as well as professional experiences. Whatever the mobile are we choosing based on the budget we have and all everything, we are doing it. So technology transforms either in a form of communication, either you are sending messages. Earlier we used to, now we are sending WhatsApp messages, WhatsApp calls, right? So this is how generally the technology transforms. In the same way, store owner wants to upgrade their application to the next level. So, but as they are the users, they are basically the users who are using this application for a long time. They are built for using, not to repair. So what is that they need to do? They require people who wants to troubleshoot their problem and providing solutions accordingly. This is where generally they'll hire an IT company, IT team. That is where generally business analysts come into an account. So business analyst in the first phase of analysis, when we talk about, they try to understand the problem. What exactly the problem was? Why is this problem arised? Right? How intense the problem was? What kind of solution a customer is expecting? How important for us to address the problem at this stage? This is all comes under problem analysis. This is what in short I can call it as business case. Developing a business case is the first and foremost thing we do, because we don't develop the documentation that straight away, because there are a couple of documentations will be there, like business requirements documents, functional and non-functional requirements. See, these sort of documentations we have to prepare being a business analyst. But initially to start with, we don't do that, because most of the people have some misconception over documentation will be prepared on a day beginning itself, which is not possible, because there are different people, stakeholders, interactions will be taken place. Different modes of communication will be gathering the requirements. We have to authenticate, we have to authorize the requirements, and we have to make sure whether the requirements were sufficient enough or not for us to develop the application. Finally, to communicate requirements, documentations will be prepared apart. So in the beginning itself, being a business analyst in the stage of analysis, when we talk about SDLC, the first thing what is that we need to do is we have to identify and do the problem analysis. Analyzing the problem is what you have to do, followed by the situation and enterprise also, because this application of point of sale system, as I told you, it is only for billing. But billing is not only an application uses in retail store, right? So there are other applications even for inventory management. They may be using a different application. Either they may be using a payroll management system to manage their employees, maybe a CRM application to manage customer relationship, all that. Maybe an ERP applications they may be required. They may be required some security and legacy applications to manage all that. So multiple applications are interconnected. So in the phase of analysis, being a business analyst, what is that you do is to identify the problem, what problem it was and all everything. So this is what usually we do in the phase of analysis. Do remember, analysis is a phase where business analyst plays a vital and important role than any other people, because you don't see any developers, testing team or project management team will be involved in the phase of analysis. That is, we being a business analyst will involve in it, right? So in the phase of requirement analysis, this is where generally business analyst will be involved more. Business analysts try to understand the business requirements. They try to understand what kind of problem they have, and understanding the business requirements and developing a business solution. From there, translating into a technical application is the next level. So analysis is the first phase. Being a BA, one should be one should be good and as well as familiar with. So once analysis is done, the next is called planning and design. Planning and design means here you are doing project planning. Now, may know anyone can explain what exactly project planning stands for? Why is it required and what project planning stands for in brief? Can anyone say what project planning stands for? Once we done the analysis of the business, the next stage is called, the next stage is two things. One is planning and second is design. I'm asking you what exactly project planning stands for. What does it mean? Real meaning of project planning.
Basically, can I speak?
Yeah, please.
Basically, project planning is the total of like from this building a product from the scratch to the end. It's basically what project planning is, how to do the research, then how to proceed with that, and then development and everything until the end of the project. We call it the project planning. How we will proceed and what will be the deadline, and how the phases will be phased out, like how we have to do that. Yeah. That's all from my side.
Okay, so is it project planning is only to know about the roadmap of the project. So you are in a simple more sense you're talking about, it's a roadmap, right? Roadmap is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Roadmap to develop the project. Thank you. The roadmap to develop the project is what generally project planning, but not only that, because project planning is the one which is majorly used not only to develop the project, but also you have to make sure two other things. What are the timelines do you have? You need to consider here. At the same time, the budget even required, because especially in the context of project planning, when you see project management team will be involved in it. This is where generally this project management team will be involved more, because project management team are the people who are responsibility to work on the project. So whenever we are talking about project planning is the one which majorly done by the project management team. So project management team has to understand about the phases of project planning in a such a way where they're trying to understand about the scope of the project. They try to understand how much budget is it allocated, because normally what happened, especially for the role of a project manager, there is a budget is allocated for any organization. For example, you want to develop a cloud-based point of sale system for one of your customer. There is some X amount of budget will be allocated first in the beginning. So project manager or a project management team is responsible to complete the project within the budget. This is where generally success lies. One of the success, if I say, it's not only about the solution what customer is expecting, but at the same time, it has to be completed within the timelines, specific timelines. At the same time, within the budget, whatever the budget was allocated, within that budget, it has to be completed and it has to be finished. This is where generally project planning come into picture. So the kind of risk analysis, what is that they do, everything comes under project planning, which project management people do that, right? This is what generally project planning stands for. So project management team will be involved in preparing project planning based on the information what a business analyst has given initially to start with. Second, architectural designing solution. Now, can anyone tell me why architecture for a business is required? So before you are going to develop the projects, requirements were there. We have done the project planning. Is this not sufficient for us to develop the project? Is it essentially required to know about the architecture? If yes, what architecture stands for actually? What is meant by an architecture? What is the real meaning of an architecture here? Why is it required?
Actually, org structure is the main project lead, no? So that is a very important role in this planning.
Means you are talking about architect role, right? So I appreciate
that.
I'm not asking you an architect role. I'm asking you why architecture for a developing an architecture for a project is required. So why is it needed? I appreciate and accept it. Architects are important for the project. But why architecture is required for you to develop? Because you have development team, you have technical team, you have testers, user interface designers, database design team, you have project manager, roadmap, right? So you have business analyst, everybody are there. So you can develop the project, right? So why do you require?
Is this a roadmap of planning of this project?
Roadmap was already designed by the BA project manager earlier, right? So how much time will it be taken? Everything will be created by the project management team. Then why is it so required for you to develop the project? Why is it so essentially needed?
May I speak?
Yeah, please. See, this is for you to interact. It's not whether we are right or wrong. Please don't mind otherwise.
Yeah.
Because
I'm just
my intention is to interact, to have an interaction among the students so that you will get some knowledge out of it. That's only the reason. That's it.
I'm just thinking like it's not. I'm just giving my thoughts. I think like architecture is
the interaction is participated. Highly appreciated. Please.
Yeah. So architecture is like important because it will test both the things what we do, as we have discussed right now, the technical side also. So they will see whether these things are going to match or not with what we have said and what we have the technical team has done, and they will merge type of thing and see that is this precise and what we need to get more, and they will get back to us or the technical team maybe.
Okay, so in what way it is connected?
This
In
is a
what
bridge,
way
I think.
is this connected here? See, can you see this diagram?
Yeah.
Right, thank you. So see, I'll give you an example to build an architecture from a non-IT perspective first, then I'll get into this. Let's say, for example, because you'll get an idea about the importance of architecture now. But if I finish this example, you'll get an idea, you guys. Let's say, for example, you are constructing a building. Okay. So you have enough capital with you. You have enough manpower resources. You have bought a piece of land to construct the building, everything. Apart from all that, even though you have experienced machining staff to construct the building, as well as supervisors, everybody are there with you. What is that you require? Apart from all that, if you want to construct a building, what is that you require first? Apart from the
An
financial
architect.
resources, everything. What is that you require? If you want to construct a building, what is that you require? Apart from
Before start the building, need design is required.
absolutely
To
blueprint.
start the construction.
Yeah,
blueprint.
blueprint.
Simple to
planning
say.
of this.
Simple to say, blueprint. Blueprint of the building is required. Now, blueprint of the building will be of different types. External phase of the building comes under the first category. Second, for example, you are developing a residential apartment, right? Residential building you are constructing. How many floors? How many flats you are constructing? What is the space you are giving between two flats as well as the corridors? What will be the length of the corridors? And how many inlet pipes, for water inlet pipes, for drinking, and as well as for common utensils and all everything, you are doing it? And how many electricity points are you giving for each and every flat? Everything is required. So if you're talking about a blueprint of the building is not only the external elevation, floor plans are required to you. At the same time, you need to have a drawings of the electrical drawings are required. So how to lay out the wires right from the scratch, because these wires, laying out the wires and all, everything will be done in that stage of construction itself, not arts after that. So that because we need to install pipes and we need to run these wires in through these pipes and all everything in the beginning of the construction when we are doing, whenever the brickwork is going on, there we have to do all that. So you need to have an electrical drawings here. You need to have a plumbing drawing, right? You need to have a floor plans. You need to have an external elevation of the building. So to construct a small apartment, what is that you require? You require at least not less than 5 to 6 drawings are needed. 5 to 6 drawings are needed for different requirements, all that, isn't it? Right? To construct a building to start with. It's not only an external elevation, but remaining for internal things also. In the same manner, when you are developing an application, let's say, for example, you are developing a point of sale system to one of your customer. Is that point of sale system is only an application used by the retail store owner? No, right? So that's one part of it. That's only for used for billing purposes. But what else you have apart from that? Apart from that, you may be having an inventory management system, which will be used to manage inventory and supply chain process, all that. At the same time, they may be required a payroll management system. So there are different applications, different systems we use, different networks we follow, right? So whatever the changes you are doing, whatever the application you are going to develop, this is an integral part of the business. This is not something away to that. Do you agree on it? So when you are going to develop a solution for the customer, understanding the architecture of the building is architecture of an application is essentially required. This is where generally we call it as enterprise architecture. This is where we call it as enterprise architecture. Means enterprise architecture means understanding about enterprise or a business. In this enterprise architecture, again, you'll be having 4 different architectures. The first thing is called business architecture. Second, we call it as data architecture, or else application architecture, systems architecture, and data architecture, whatever it is, right? So business architecture majorly explains you about the kind of business strategy, what that organization has, the kind of business model they have followed to run their businesses, and the kind of business rules which they have embedded in understanding the business processes in order to make it more convenient and better to make it successful. All these things comes under business architecture. You should be knowing on it. First point. Second, application architecture. Application architecture means, yeah, please go ahead, Anuraj.
Where we will go, like we will be lying in the business architecture, I think, or in the data architecture, because
Let me
it's a
complete.
big cell.
Let
Yeah.
me complete my conversion first. Then you can ask me the question. Okay. Let me complete my explanation. You can ask me question later. No problem. I'll solve you that. I'll ask you. I'll answer your question. So enterprise architecture is what is required. So why I'm explaining this? Because when you want to develop a solution for a project, especially in the context of the architect role, solution architect role, if they want to provide a solution, first of all, they should understand the enterprise. Enterprise means organization. If they want to know about an organization, for example, if you want to know about retail shop or a retail store, for example, right? If you want to know about this, what is that you require first? First, you need to know about the business architecture. First, you need to know about the business architecture. Means what kind of business strategy they are following and how they are following. This is where generally the business architecture come into picture. Next, applications, not data. I can say applications. Applications is the next one. Why? Because what kind of applications are they using? Point of sale system, inventory management, payroll, CRM, ERP. What are the different applications for different reasons we are using? So we must be having a clear understanding about what are the applications they were using and how these applications were interconnected. Please do remember, this is all we are doing it because these are the applications which are not standalone, which are not individual on its nature. All these applications were interconnected. All these applications were interconnected. So because every application will have an interconnect over a period of time. This is where generally interconnection stands for. So when we talk about application architecture, we must be knowing about, we as a solution architect I am talking about, right? In the context of them, I am speaking this. We must be knowing about the solution architecture for sure, right? So what kind of solution are we going to develop? So we have to take not only business architecture, we need to understand the application architecture. What are the different types of applications they are using in the organization and how these applications were interconnected? Because if you are making any changes on the existing point of sale system, that should give a positive impact on the other applications which are connected in it. It should not give an adverse impact, right? That's what we have to see. After application architecture, next is technology or systems architecture. You can consider that way. Technology or systems architecture. Technology or systems architecture means what kind of systems are they using, configuration of the systems, networking, right? How these were interconnected, what kind of firewall protections and how they are managing these firewall protections. All these things comes under technical or systems architecture. Last, I can say data architecture. Data architecture means how they are storing the data, what kind of storage devices that they're using. You must be knowing about the server designs, like what are the different servers are they using. Are these servers were remotely located servers or the servers which are located at one place? So this understanding is required for a solution architect to develop an application, because you're developing a point of sale system, but this point of sale system is interconnected with a lot of things which are involved in the organization. Being a solution architect, one must be knowing about that to provide the business solution or to provide a solution architecture for any of the project. This is where generally planning and design come into picture as far as the role of a solution architect itself is concerned. Now you go ahead. Please go ahead, Anuraj.
Yeah, I was asking that our role will be in the starting of the business, that is formulating strategies and like in the business architecture, right?
Yeah, business architecture majorly focusing on the business strategy, what business strategy they
So
follow.
we will work like as a business architects, we will work in the business architecture, right?
Yeah, because business architecture, because that is where I'm going to explain now. So business architecture will be like this, because business architecture is not something simple for you to see. This is what generally the business architecture you can see. Business architecture means these things will be there, right? What are the policies, rules and regulations? What are their capacities? What are their visions? What are their strategies? Who are their customers? Who are their competitors? What kind of products and services this business is following? What kind of value streaming they are following? What kind of metrics they follow to measure their performance of their businesses? What are the decisions and as well as business decisions and as well as events they are taking? All these things comes under business architecture, which gives you a high level glimpse over the business first. High level glimpse over the business first. After that, applications architecture, systems architecture, followed by the data architecture. The complete understanding about all these required for a solution architect to develop an architecture for the project. That's the reason why Mr. Rao said, as in the beginning, architect roles are so important for the projects due to this context, because architects should have a complete understanding over the technicals, because architects are the technical people. Please do remember that. Architects are not functional people. Okay, underline this point. Architects are the technical people most of the times, not most of the times, 100%. Solution architects. So they should have a command over the technology in strong in reference to the enterprise level. Again, in enterprise level, you must be knowing about the business level. They must be knowing about data level, applications level, systems level, all that. So for that, they use different frameworks like Jackman, TOGAF, all that. Of course, that's a different story. Let us not get into that. So this is where generally the architecture, business architecture will looks like. So this is the first thing. Based on the business architecture, systems, applications, data architectures, and all everything will be followed by. Is it clear? Mr. Anurag,
Yes,
Nimisha,
yes.
Sudhir, Vidya.
Yes, yes. Okay, I have a question over
Yes,
here.
Sudhir. Go ahead.
As a BA,
Mhm.
if you go on the previous slide, the
Mm,
first one,
mm,
um, as a BA, we have to work with the stakeholders, right?
mm. Uh-huh.
We have to work with the project management team.
Mhm.
Then in design part, we have to work with the
Mhm.
architects, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So the input, we gather information from the stakeholders as well as from the project manager, or the project management team. We have to, inform the project management team what the stakeholders are saying,
Initially, to
what they
gather the
need.
initial requirement, business analyst will be there. But whether
Correct.
whatever the requirements we have taken, how far this is authorized, project management team will be involved. Because possibilities you cannot say, right? Because you are a BA.
Correct.
Technically possible, is this possible or not? If it is possible, under what context, what technology, is not
Hmm.
something BA can understand or BA can decide with. So it's
Right.
all both hand in hand. BA are the people who are responsible to gather the requirements and to give the requirements. But end of the
Hmm.
day, to develop the requirements, what is that you require? You require a project management team. You require an architects. It's a collective responsibility to initiate the project.
Okay, and that will be, we will be working in a team then,
Absolutely. This
everywhere.
is all team
Okay.
efforts. So please don't consider in such a way that, because at the same time, this is not something by the BA is doing all that, right? So business analyst, you are working on your individual responsibilities. Apart
Yeah.
from that, you need to interact with other people as well. Unless until if there is no interaction between, for example, when we talk about business requirements, who will give you this information? Whatever I am showing you, this
Yeah, the
information being a
stakeholders.
BA, you have to provide.
Yeah. Correct.
Architect don't know about all that, right?
Hmm.
Architect may be a system scene, will be knowing about the systems, applications, all that. But who will give all this information about the policies, rules and regulations, all that?
The BA. Okay.
Simple, right?
All right. Thank you.
Next, Anuraj, you're asking. Anuraj, is it clear to everyone? So
Yeah.
Vidya.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I was asking one thing.
It's the meeting is going to be ended soon. Okay, if it was disconnected, please join again in 2 minutes. Okay, on the same meeting link. Okay,
Okay, sure.
please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So basically, this was the first time of class. So just want to ask that, what's the difference between a data analyst or a business analyst?
And one Mr. Anuraj, this is not a demo class. Please do remember, this is the 4th session I'm taking on BA. As you guys were attending recently, as I've taken an heads up of BA for a few minutes and I'm continuing the class. Okay, this is what the point I would like to mention you prior. This is not a demo class anymore. The batch has already started. 3 sessions were done. Right, this is the 4th session I'm taking. If you're really interested to continue these classes and all, the previous class recordings will be shared to you accordingly. So that please go through that so that you'll have an idea over this.
Sure.
And coming back to the question you are asking me, the difference between business analyst and data analyst is business analyst works on the business requirements, data analyst works on the data. It is nothing to do with business requirements for the data analyst. But data analyst are completely works on the data part. They take the data using different data analysis tools and techniques. They will be calculating the data analysis using some Python or R programming, different statistical tools are there. They will be using it and they calculate and evaluate the data, and final result will be submitted for the better decision making by the organizations. That's what data analysis. The major difference between BA and data analyst is very simple. Business analyst works on the business requirements, on the business perspective. It is completely a functional related kind of role, I can say. Data analyst majorly works on the data part. Clear, Mr. Anuraj?
Understood. Thank you so much.
Simple, right? Right, Nimisha, Sudhir, Vidya, clear? You're following, right? Okay, right.
Yes, thank you.
Right. So this is where the second stage, which we call it as planning and design. If it is disconnected, please be joined. Okay. Again, I'm repeating you. So planning and design is what generally it was. So initially we have to start with project planning, which project manager will do that. Next, architectural designing, because architectural designing solutions will be done by the architects, because those are the people who will be doing architectural designing and all everything for the project. Followed by this, whatever the database designing and all everything will be done by the database management team, because database designing all that. So this is all for today. I'm just closing it. Okay, so anyway, it's going to be ended. The session is going to be ended. So this is what it is. The next part of the planning and design, what is that we do and all everything that I'm going to discuss in the tomorrow session. Is it clear, Vidya, Anuraj, Nimisha, Sudhir, Mr. Rao?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.